Hello students, welcome back to the class. Today we will see NCERT chapter 2 structure of atom JEPYQs part 2. Disclaimer: the images, text and other materials used in our presentations are for educational purposes only. We respect the intellectual property rights of the original creators and owners. If you are the owner and have any concerns or issues, please contact us at sathi@iitk.ac.in and we shall remove the content immediately. Please note that parts of the content may have been generated using generative AI, which is experimental. The first question is saying that the radius of an atomic nucleus is of the order of, so there are 5 values given in centimeters. This was asked in 1985 on 1 marks. Your time to solve this question starts now. So your time is up. What will be the correct answer? The correct answer is 10 to the power minus 13 centimeter. So there is a theoretical question. You don't have to think much about it. You just know it. It is given in the NCERT that the radius of the nucleus is 10 to the power minus 13 centimeter. Okay. And there also it is mentioned about the radius of the atom. So try to remember both of them. It may be asked in your exams. Our next question. Bohr's model can explain the spectrum of hydrogen atom and only, spectrum of an atom or ion containing one electron, the spectrum of hydrogen molecule, the solar spectrum. So this was asked in the 1985 for 1 marks. So again, it's a theoretical one. I'm giving you some time to solve it. Your time starts now. The time is up. So what was the species that was being explained by the Bohr? It was an atom which is having one electron only, right? So it was able to explain the spectrum of those atoms which have one electron only. Now, why it is so? So basically, it was seen that if we consider a one electron system like hydrogen, or you would take a helium plus atom, or you would take a lithium 2 plus atom, there we have only one electron present in the whole atom. Instead of that, if you take another atom which has more than one electron, that is called as the multi-electron species. Now in that case, what is happening is there is a repulsion between the electron of one shell, or I would say between the electrons of the similar shell, and that would give rise to a very complex situation. So basically, in mathematical terms, it is very difficult to make that electron repulsion inclusive in the calculation. Okay. So due to this new type of force, which is electron repulsion, which is making the situation complex, it was only applicable to the one electron like species. So whatever calculation Bohr did, he kept this electron repulsion negligible, and as a result of that, his theory was only accurately applicable to this hydrogen like species which have only one electron. Now the number of proton can be multiple. There is no restrictions on it, but there is a restriction on the number of electron. Got it? Moving on to the next question. It says that the Rutherford scattering experiment is related to the size of nucleus, option A, atom, option B, electron, option C, and neutron, option D. It was asked in 1983 for 1 marks. Your time to solve this question starts now. The time is up. So, Rutherford's scattering experiment is related to which one? It is related to the nucleus. So, if you remember the experiment of Rutherford, which was the alpha particle scattering experiment, you must have seen that most of the alpha particle were venting straight through the gold foil, which was indicating that a positive charge is somewhere concentrated. And he considered them to be concentrated at the center. But since the amount of deflection was very small, means very few particles were deflecting, as a result of that, he concluded that his positive charge is concentrated in a very small area. Okay, it is not only concentrated, it is concentrated in a very small area. And he named that small area as nucleus of the atom. Moving on to the next question, it is again from the Rutherford's experiment. It says that Rutherford's experiment on scattering of alpha particles showed for the first time that the atom has. So I guess it's a very similar type of question. 4 options are there: electrons, protons, neutrons, nucleus. It was asked in the 1981 for a 1 mark. So since it is a theoretical one, I am giving you 10 seconds to solve it. Now let us move to the solution. So which will be the correct answer? What was the subatomic particle that Rutherford's experiment was able to determine? That was nucleus. Now, how do we get it? So nucleus was the most important finding of the Rutherford's experiment, because most of the alpha particle were again deflected by a very small angle. Okay, most of the alpha particle went straight through and some of them deflected, right? Not all of them, most of them, but some of them got deflected. It indicates that your alpha particle is located, has been deflected by a positive charge, which is concentrated in a very small area, which he named them as nucleus. Now nucleus have 2 things: protons and neutrons, which are called as nucleons. Then here is our next question. The energy of an electron in the first Bohr orbit of hydrogen atom is given as minus 2.18 into 10 to the power minus 18 joule. Its energy in the third orbit is. Now this question was asked recently in the 2023 mains exam on 13th April in the first shift. There are 4 options: 3 times of this value, 1 by 9th of this value, 1 by 3rd of this value, 1 by 27th of this value. So you have some time to solve this question. Your time starts now. So there is a very straight formula to calculate this. Just apply that formula and you have a given data which is important for a calculation. So your time is up. What will be the correct answer? So the energy of the third orbit will be 1 by 9th of this value. Okay. So since you don't have to even calculate it, right? You just have to put the value of n and you will get your answer. So first of all, you need to write the formula for calculating the energy of the hydrogen atom. How it can be written? It is given by that the energy of the nth orbital is minus 2.18 into 10 to the power minus 18 multiplied by z square by n square, where z is the atomic number and n is the number of what? Number of shell. Okay, joule per atom. Now, since if we calculate it for the first one, we get it as this value, which is already given, right? We will take z is equals to 1 since the atom is hydrogen. But we are interested in the third orbit. Here also we'll take the value of z as 1. If you keep all the values, that is z is equals to 1 and n is equals to 3, you will get 1 by 9 here. Now compare these equations 1 and 2. On comparing this, you will easily find that this is the energy of the first shell and this is the energy of the third shell, which is 1 by 9th of the energy of the first shell. Therefore, the correct answer will be B. I hope it is clear to you. You just have to apply this formula and calculate. Our next one. So this is a question from the NCERT section 2.3.3. Question is saying that which transition in the hydrogen spectrum would have the same wavelength as the Balmer series, Balmer type transition from n is equals to 4 to n is equals to 2 of hydrogen plus spectrum. So there are multiple transitions given from 1 to 3, from 1 to 2, from 3 to 4, and from 2 to 1. This was again asked in the 2023 mains examination on 31st of January in the first shift. Your time to solve the question starts now. The time is up. What will be the correct answer? So your transition which is going from 2 to 1 will have the same energy and of course the same wavelength which was seen in n is equals to 4 to n is equals to 2 for helium plus atom. Remember student? So you are comparing a transition in the hydrogen atom which is taking from 2 to 1 with a transition that is taking in the helium plus atom for 4 to 2 and you are getting the equal wavelength in both the transitions. How will solve it? For that, let us first write the formula which is used to calculate the wavelength of the hydrogen spectrum. It is given by 1 by lambda. So we are taking for hydrogen. So we'll take here z square as 1 square. RH 1 by n1 square minus 1 by n2 square. Remember, this is the smaller value. Okay, this is the smaller value and this will be the larger value. Now, if we take it for the helium plus atom, then it will have Z value as 2. So 1 by lambda of the helium plus atom, R 2 square, where RH is the Rydberg constant. Okay. Now here it will be 1 by 2 square minus 1 by 4 square. So we are going from 4 to 2. 2 is the smaller one. I said it. Keep the smaller one here because wavelength cannot be negative. Next thing that is given is lambda of hydrogen should be equals to the lambda of the helium plus. So this is given. Now we will equate both of this equation according to the given situation. If we do so, we will get upon simplification this thing, right? Now comparing these variables, we can easily say that n1 is 1 and n2 is 2. Therefore, your correct answer will be D. I guess it is clear to all of you. Okay, moving on to the next one. Here, the shortest wavelength of the hydrogen atom in the Lehman series is lambda. Now, the longest wavelength in the Balmer series of the hydrogen, helium plus, not hydrogen, helium plus is, so A is 5 by 9 lambda, B is 9 lambda by 5, C is 5 lambda by 9, D is 36 lambda by 5. This was asked again in the 2023 on 29th of Jan in the first shift. Your time to solve this question starts now. Your time is up. So the longest wavelength in Balmer series of the helium plus will be 9 lambda by 5. Okay, remember this lambda is the shortest wavelength of the hydrogen atom in the Lehman series. How will we solve this question? First of all, we will write the Rydberg formula that we know. Given by 1 by lambda, Rydberg constant multiplied by 1 by n1 square minus 1 by n2 square multiplied by z square, where z is the atomic number. So, I have said it earlier, keep the smaller one here. So, if you do this, because the lambda should be positive. Remember, you don't apply this logic here of keeping the n1 as smaller in the energy thing. In that case, you have to remember it, because energy can be negative. Now, if you take n1 as 1, because it is said that we have to take the Lehman series in the first situation, and it is telling that in this case, your wavelength is the shortest one. Now, if the wavelength is the shortest, then the energy would be the maximum, because energy and wavelength have an inverse relation. So, you know it very well that the energy to take out the electron to the infinity distance is the maximum energy. Okay, every time. If you have to take it from 1 to a state where it is releasing a higher amount of energy, okay, then in that case you have to take the electron to the infinite. Now in this case you have to do the opposite one, bring from the infinite to the 1. So to get the shortest wavelength or the highest energy, you have to move from infinity. I guess this is clear to all of you. Now if this is true, just put them in the previous equation. Take z as equals to 1, since we are worried about hydrogen atom. Now this value is already taken as lambda, and it is also given as lambda. Okay, we represent wavelength by lambda, and we take it also as lambda. Therefore, I have kept it lambda here. So we have taken hydrogen. Therefore, we have taken z as 1, because the atomic number of hydrogen is 1. Put all the values, you will clearly get a very simple equation at the last, which tells us that your Rydberg constant is equals to 1 by lambda. Take it as equation 1. Now what is our next part? Now we are interested in the longest wavelength. Longest wavelength means shortest energy. Now for Balmer, the ending point, or you would say the shell where the electron comes, is the 2, or the second shell. And for the minimum energy, it will start from the next adjacent shell, that is 3. So we are considering here the longest wavelength as lambda 1. Now put all the values in the Rydberg formula again. Take it as a lambda 1. This one is 1 by 2 square, 1 by 3 square, and z is taken as 2, because we are worried about the helium plus. So 2 square will be 4. Now, what was given in the previous equation? We have seen that the Rydberg constant is equals to 1 by lambda. First, we will simplify this equation to give us the next one, and then perform the fraction calculation to get 1 by lambda 1 as 5 RH by 9. Now putting the value of RH, what we will get? If you put the value of RH in the equation 2 from equation 1, you will get lambda 1 as 9 lambda by 5. I guess it is clear to all of you. Just a very simple calculation. You have to just know that how do we apply the formula, and you are getting your answer. Here is your next question. This was asked in the 2022 mains exam on 27th of July in the second shift. The minimum energy that must be possessed by the photon in order to produce a photoelectric effect with platinum metal is to be calculated. Now, a very good information is here that the threshold frequency of platinum is 1.3 into 10 to the power 15 second per second, and the H value is 6.6 into 10 to the power minus 34 joule second. Your options are 3.21 into 10 to the power minus 14 joule. B is 6.24 into 10 to the power minus 16 joule. C is 8.58 into 10 to the power minus 19 joule, and D is 9.76 into 10 to the power minus 20 joule. Your time to solve this question starts now. It is a very easy question to solve. If you know the formula, just put the values and get your answer. Your time is up. So what we have to do, we have to calculate the minimum energy, and the threshold frequency is given. So threshold frequency is that frequency below which you can't expect a photoelectric effect. So the correct answer is C, 8.58 into 10 to the power minus 19. Now let us see how we can solve it. So what is the minimum energy that is required to abstract the electron using a photon? So that is equals to the work function, and work function is already given in terms of nu naught, I would say. Just put the values h into nu naught and you will get your correct answer. So it will be equals to 8.58 into 10 to the power minus 19 joule. I guess it's a very easy one. Remember, always treat work function as the energy required to pull up the electron from the metal surface. Here is your next question. It's the last one. If the radius of the third Bose orbit of hydrogen atom is r3 and the radius of the fourth Bohr orbit is r4, then you have to calculate what is the relation, or you have to derive, I would say, the relation between r4 and r3. First option is r4 is equals to 9 by 16 r3. R4 is equals to 16 by 9 r3. Second option. Third option is r4 is equals to 3 by 4 r3. And fourth option is r4 is equals to 4 by 3 r3. Your time to solve this question starts now. Remember, students, that always your r4 will be greater than r3. So this will be true. Now with the help of this, of course, you can cross out some of the options. The time is up. Now, how do we solve this? You have to just apply the formula of the radius of the nth orbit. If you are doing so and correctly, you will get your answer as option B, r4 is equals to 16 by 9 r3. Let us see how we can solve it. So, the radius of nth orbit is given by the formula 0.529 n square by z. Now, applying this formula to the third shell, we will get this equation where we are taking n as 3 and z as 1 because we are interested in the hydrogen atom in the both case. Similarly, for r4, we will take it as 4 square by 1. Now, this is an angstrom. You can take it in any unit, but both of them should be in the same unit. Then and then only you will be able to calculate their ratio. Now, put both of these values. You will get 4 square by 3 square, 16 by 9. Now you can clearly see from here that 16 by 9 will give you a value which is greater than 1. That clearly signifies that R4 will be greater than R3. And it's very obvious because as we move away from the nucleus, the principal quantum number increases. I would say that the shell number increases, and if you are doing so, you are increasing the radius. So this was all for today's class. I hope you enjoyed the lecture. Thank you.